I am really excited to keep our program going by introducing Sarah Deming, career prep coach with Management Leadership for Tomorrow, who will discuss the concept of career clarity. I do see a hand raised and would ask that you please reach out to Zoom Master in the chat to ask any questions that you have, and we'll do our best to support you. Thank you. So Sarah has had a varied career focused on general management and marketing across a multitude of industries, including tech, CPG, healthcare, or financial service industries. After graduating from Whitman College with a degree in economics in her home state of Washington, she spent several years working at Google in marketing and strategy functions for both consumer and business products. Sarah then attended Northwestern University, Kellogg, where she earned an MBA and graduated in the top 10% of her class, y'all. Sarah then achieved her childhood dream job of becoming a professional ice cream taster. I didn't know I had another dream job until I heard of that dream job, otherwise known as a brand manager for Haagen-Dazs based in Oakland, where she led both communication strategy and the launch of several new products. Sarah was then tapped to lead marketing efforts at Penumbra for a new first-of-its-kind virtual reality rehabilitation product. She delivered a go-to-market plan, including brand strategy, digital marketing, and product roadmap, as well as a strategic plan for the organization of the marketing division. Most recently, Sarah was recruited for general management at Progressive Insurance, and she's managing the auto insurance business and is responsible for $1.5 billion in annual premiums across a portfolio of states. Sarah is a proud alumnus of the Management Leadership for Tomorrow, or MLT, program, and is in her third year of working as a part-time coach in MLT's career prep program. She has a 100% placement rate for students in full-time jobs, which is phenomenal, and is passionate about coaching and diversity and inclusion. Sarah's lived here in the Bay Area since 2010 and is in Alameda. Welcome, Sarah. Passing it to you and everybody. I'm putting the link to career prep in the chat. Check it out. Thanks, Sarah.
Great. Thanks so much. It's good to be here. I'm really excited to be a part of this conference. So today I'm going to be talking about career clarity. It's going to be more like a workshop. I want this to be really practical for the attendees of the program and help you really think about what you want to do. So I'm going to share my screen. And thanks, Meredith, for the introduction. I feel like I don't have much to say anymore, which is great. I'd rather you say it than me. But what I want to highlight from my profile is just, I've had a really varied career and a lot of success and a lot of enjoyment in my different jobs. And I didn't go to school for what I ended up doing. My first job out of college didn't totally mark my career or what I wanted to do. I've done customer service, I've done operations, I've done marketing, I've done general management, and I've liked it all. And so I think for me, when I graduated from college, I went to Whitman College, I got a degree in economics and a minor in history and art history. So not very practical to the real world. But I was put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself to figure out like, hey, like, what's that one thing that I should be doing? What is that one thing that's the perfect career for me? And what I've learned in the past 10, 15 years since being out of school is that there isn't one thing. There are so many different paths that you can find success in, and they're overlapping paths. So if you had your heart set on this one company or this one internship and you didn't end up getting it, you could come back to that company in 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Or if you were, choosing between two different things, two different ways to choose your life, you can always come back. And I think you can really see that through my career. And even, this is just what kind of made the slide and the choices that I did make, but there are so many choices and potential paths on here that I didn't choose, but could have also been a very successful career path. So I just want to start the talk by saying that if you're like me and put a lot of pressure on yourself, know that there are so many different ways to be successful. So that being said, you should still have a plan and you shouldn't wing it, and we should still be planning things along. So I also think it's extremely important that you have have a strong start after college, because that really can set the tone for your entire career. So it's about learning about yourself, about what you want to do and where you want to be. And that's kind of the content of our next 25 minutes together. So the goal of the session is to help you answer these two questions. This is how I'm going to break up career clarity in this instance. So the first is, what do you want to do? How do you find that path that you want to go on? Everybody knows, the doctor, lawyer, engineer type jobs. But what about all those other types of jobs? What about if you want to go into business, but what does that exactly mean? I want to help you answer that first question about what do you want to do? The second is like, okay, now I think I know that I want to go into this industry and this function. How do I actually do that? So I'll go over just like more practical tips on ways you can do that. And then finally, I'll close out with some career spotlights. So I'm going to talk about a few jobs that you maybe have never heard of. And I want to use those to encourage you to explore and find out like these different jobs that aren't maybe as popular, but maybe could be a great fit for you. And hoping that you can use the frameworks that we'll introduce at the beginning of the call to learn more about opportunities and then see if it is a good fit for what you want to do. Okay, so starting with that first question, what do you want to do? I'm going to break this into 3 different areas to think about when considering. So the first is motivators. So what's important to you? The other speaker, I think, mentioned that having job security was really important to her, her family. Her family really wanted to make sure that like she had job security. That can be a really important motivator, and that can drive you. So that can drive your decision from maybe going to a recession-proof blue chip company like the insurance industry, as opposed to going to like a tech startup that has like a big risk, big reward. Another thing is your work-life balance. Would you rather work a 9 to 5 consistently every day? Would you rather have your workday be more flexible? So maybe some days you're working 12 hours, but other days you're working 6 hours. Or, there are some jobs where you're working 12 hours a lot of the time. Like, what's important to you? What is going to make you happy? Another motivator is like, do you need a variety of work? Does your day need to look really different every day? Or do you thrive in consistency? So you can think about how you live your life right now in college. Like, do you really like having a routine? Do you like having different things you do every day, like go to the library and then have lunch at a certain place? Like, do you like a routine and a schedule, or are you always trying to mix it up? That's an important thing when discovering a job. Do you need to work on something that means something? So a lot of people are very altruistic, and you might like really need to be doing something good for the world in order to like feel motivated and get out of bed every day. When I was working in healthcare, I worked with like a ton of different people who were motivated that way. So that's something you need to think about. I personally am a very altruistic person, but I thought about it a different way. Like, it was never something that I needed to do in my core role, but I needed to have a job that afforded me the financial security and the flexibility that I could do a lot of volunteering or be financially secure and able to support different nonprofits that were important to me. So there's also different ways to think about it, but it's an important thing that you need to know about yourself. And then something like, are you looking for something predictable? But these are just example questions, but any things about like thinking about what motivates you. Like, do you like a challenge? Do you like something that's really intellectually stimulating? Or as opposed to, are you motivated by your team and about who you're working with? And so those are all just like important questions that you should ask yourself. Okay, the next section is your interests. So what do you like to do? So you can think about like in your classes, what types of classes do you like and what type of styles are they? Do you really like your STEM like classes because you like that data doesn't lie, numbers don't lie, and you think really black and white about things, or you prefer numbers or something like that? Then maybe you're interested more in quantitative analysis, data analysis, or a role that has this strong data analytics component to it, as opposed to, hey, maybe like politics is your favorite class or English is your favorite class because you like to talk, you like discussion, you like the gray area, you like the different interpretation. Those are all different ways to think about your interests. You can also think about your interests through what you've liked during part-time jobs. Did you work at a retail store? What did you like? Did you like doing inventory and the operations and the in and out? Or did you like talking with customers or dealing with difficult customers and you like the challenge of taking someone who's really angry and making them happy? Those are all different ways to think about your interests, and knowing your interests is going to be important to finding a good career match for you. If you're really interested in quantitative analysis, and then you go into a role that's way more people focused, or going to a company that just doesn't value the data as much as it does other things, then it's not going to be a good fit for you. And then finally, your skills. So I said, what are your genius gifts? Genius gifts is a term we use in MLT, that what are you like top 10% in the world good at? For me, I would say it's probably like connecting with people, talking to people. I love talking to people. I love like networking and being able to connect to different people. I have friends and colleagues say to me like, oh, I just feel like you know somebody everywhere, or you know somebody who knows somebody. And that's something I like pride myself in, and is something that I both am interested in, but I also have a skill in it. Your genius gift might be communication. It might be data analysis. It might be prioritization, but think about like what are the things that you've always been good at. And like a fun fact, if you look at like your kindergarten or elementary school grades, that might be that might give you a glint into what your genius gifts are. I know like my parents showed me like my kindergarten gifts, and it was like Sarah's a social butterfly, always talking to everybody. Maybe not so good at like paying attention and diving deep onto a specific topic, as you probably could see from my career trajectory. That hasn't changed very much. Like I'm still really strong in that, but really knowing what your skills, because when you're looking for your career, you really need all three of these things to overlap. Okay. Now the next section, this slide has a lot of stuff on it, and it's very important. So I'll try and go really slow to go through all of it. But now that you kind of have thought a little bit about what you want to do, let's talk a little bit more about that, but then also how to find a job that matches your needs. So the first thing that is my number one recommendation is informational interviews. So what's an informational interview? It's also could be called a coffee chat, or a talking or conversation or networking. It has lots of different names, but how I think of an informational interview, it's like a 20 to 30 minute conversation with somebody in a field that you're interested in, and it's not evaluative. It's purely for your information process, and it's not for you trying to get an interview to actually work there. And why I think these are such a powerful tool is, one, it's really easy to find people who will do these because it's not evaluative. You're not asking for anything. You're just asking for time and to learn about someone's career and just learn from them and have them talk about themselves, which most people love to do. And why I think they're so important is because you can take, what you learn from your self-reflection, what is important to you, and ask them those questions. So say you are interested in video games, and so you reach out to somebody at Electronic Arts. They're an account manager. You don't really know what that is, but you like video games and think that would be a cool career. So you ask them for 30 minutes of their time, and then you prepare a list of questions that you want to answer to see if, hey, like, would I be good an account manager? So maybe you start with just like, tell me about your role, tell me about how you got here. tell me about your day to day. But you can also ask questions like, I've learned that a variety of work is really important to me. Do you find like your role has a high variety of work, or is it pretty routine? Or you could say like, I've learned that like being competitive is super important to me. Is this more of like, is there a sense of competition at this role or at this company? And you can learn so much about what people actually do just from having a 30-minute chat with them. And it'll be way more informative than reading on the internet or having quick conversations with people. It's like a good in-depth conversation. And I will say, like, in my experience, like, people are very open to this. I have never said no to strangers who have reached out to me on LinkedIn who just said like, oh, I want to talk about your career and how you ended up at all these weird places. I will give like certainly 20 minutes to anyone who does that. And I think a lot of my peers and other people are similar, especially if you can find something also in common with them, like an undergrad or a city or an interest or a nonprofit, et cetera. But most people are really open. So I would use LinkedIn, find people or find companies that are interesting to you, find titles that are interesting to you, and interview them, or even if you have a good relationship with them, or you develop a relationship, even then like shadow them. The next topic is assessments. So this kind of goes back to the first topic around finding your career clarity, but there are lots of different books and assessments out there. So if you go to your career center, they're going to have all these books that you can just take out or go to the library, or you can see if they even have credits to let you do these tests. But Gallup Strength Finder, that's a way that you can take a test to help you find your strengths. Career Leader uses those three that I use in the framework to help guide you to different careers. And the Career Leader actually spits out what would be a good jobs for you at the end of the assessment. So is a great way to help find a job that might match your needs based on what you put into the test. 100 jobs, what color is your parachute? These are different exercises. You can just Google them and find them. 100 jobs is having you just go through a list of 100 jobs and circle which ones you find interesting, and then seeing the patterns in it. Programs. So there's so many great programs out there. I listed a couple. I'm going to highlight MLT because that's the program that I both was a participant in, and now I work there as a career coach in MLT. So MLT is a nonprofit. Our goal is to have more senior leaders in corporate America from Native American, Hispanic, and Black backgrounds. MLT has 2 college programs. The first one is Ascend. That's for incoming first years during their first year of college. It's really helping you transition to college. And the second one, which is a little bit more intense of a program, is Career Prep. That is the program that I'm a coach for. So Career Prep is basically an 18-month career clarity program. So instead of a 30-minute workshop that we're doing right now, it's like over 18 months. And it's going to first help you with career clarity, figuring out what you want to do, and then help you actually get there. We have a network of 100 different partners who want to have access and want to have you do internships with them. Then you do an internship, all while we're also preparing you to do well in your internship and get the offer in your internship. And then if you either take your offer and go back full time to your internship, or you can re-recruit in the fall. We have a bunch of partners that do full-time recruiting, and we have awesome partners like lots of tech companies in the Bay Area and consulting companies, as well as more traditional companies like CPG companies and healthcare companies. So MLT is a great program that can help you both find jobs that meet your needs, but also help you with career clarity. There's also SEO. It focuses more on just finance and baking. I don't know as much about these, but I did some research just to find them. Inroads, Smash Rising. I know a couple of people who now are in MLT who did Smash, which is a Bay Area program, Color Stack, all great programs. I would highly recommend looking into all of them, especially MLT, of course. The next is internships, part-time work. So again, this is kind of going back to both of our goals here. So doing internships, doing part-time work can help you discover what you like doing. When I was in college, I worked for the technology services, and it was actually the best college job ever, because 10 out of my 12 hours a week I spent in the computer lab doing my homework. And I occasionally had to help people with printing problems and fix text issues, etc. But 2 hours a week I worked at the help desk, and I loved working at the help desk. I love problem solving, but I really like just like being the face of the tech services and helping people with their issues and doing the people stuff. And so that really helped me know that that was a strength of mine, and helped me like land my first job at Google, because I was basically doing that, but with business people and with ads and sales, not with college students, professors in tech. But that one experience let me know that, one, I would be good at it, and two, helped me get the opportunity, because I was able to pull from my skills that I built during that internship. So don't discount your internships and part-time work. I have students every year who like don't want to put their sunglasses hut internship or part-time job on their experience. And I'm like, no, like put that on. There's so many great skills that you're building. You're building people skills. You're building operational skills. The people skills is really, really the best one, but the sales, like there's so many different skills that you're building that is both going to help you in like another more corporate, like full-time job, but can also help you develop what you want to do. And then finally, classes. I kind of touched on this before, but which one of your classes did you really like? Did you like your design classes, your art classes? Did the creative really pull you? Or did you like accounting and finance and like the numbers, like the data analysis? Did you like the marketing? And then also, if you didn't have such a traditional background like me, where I did liberal arts, so all my classes were like English and astronomy and geology and art history. What were the skills you liked in class? Like, did you like doing research? Did you like really meticulous, detail-oriented research papers? Or did you like discussions? Did you like persuading people to see your viewpoint? Did you like that culture of disagreement or not? So that was a lot, but these are my very like practical tips for finding the job that you want to do. So now in the last 10 minutes, I'm going to go through, I think 5 different career spotlights, and I want to apply this framework that we've used, and also just give some light on maybe a job that you didn't think about before, but also see how you can apply the frameworks into your job search. So the first thing is a UX designer, UX strategy. So back to the first thing we talked about, if you like making people's lives easier, problem solving, change, maybe a little bit of being creative, but also like analysis and users in research, then this might be a great job for you. So a typical responsibility would be like designing the sign-up flow. So if you go to, I'm sorry that insurance is on the mind. I'm sure this is like the least sexy industry for your age group. But if you go to geico.com or progressive.com, you have to put in all this information to get a quote. There's multiple different steps. How do those steps lay out? Where are the buttons? How many steps should there be? That's something a UX designer is thinking about. So, hey, maybe it's more clear if we add in more sentences here, or add in more help texts here, but maybe that causes a drop off because it's not as clean looking and somebody's like, oh, another page. You guys have seen like doing a survey before and it's like, oh, another page, another page, another page. Where can you work as a UX designer? So many places. Really, most companies now have some sort of UX because everybody has like a digital presence, and it's really important to have a good designer. But think about tech giants, obviously have huge UX departments, and budding startups also have UX. That's when you really be getting your hands dirty and designing something from the ground up. Okay, the next one is like a claims adjuster. This is probably something that nobody has thought of or aspired to do before, but what do you like? Do you not want to sit at your desk all day? Do you want to be out driving, talking to people? Do you like talking to people? Do you like investigating? Do you like negotiating? Is an important motivator for you security and stability? Then maybe you like being a claims adjuster. This is a job where you're out and about, you're talking to people, and a lot of times their worst days when they've been in a car accident or somebody's hit their car, you're negotiating with different vendors and suppliers. So you own relationships with different auto shops, you're negotiating prices, and you're owning those relationships. And there also are like claims adjusters that specialize in investigating. So this is something where you look at all the facts, you interview people, and you like try and figure out what happened. And this is also a job that generally is like has a lot of security, because there's always going to be car accidents, whether the economy is going poorly or going very well. So it's something that is a little bit more secure, but maybe not as financially lucrative as, say, even being a UX designer at a tech company. So it's just something for you to think about when you're thinking about your trade-offs. The next one is an account manager. So this is a function of sales. So do you like to talk on the phone? Are you the social butterfly who's always talking to people? Do you like to manage relationships? Do you like to sell? Were you the best Girl Scout selling cookies? Well, then, hey, maybe account manager would be a good role for you. So there's account managers at every B2B company, any company that has like a middle. So even if you're selling to consumers, if you have a middle retailer, like for example, like Haagen-Dazs, we had a middle retailer in, of course, like Target and Walmart and all the grocery stores, we had account managers that would manage those relationships. So what are you doing? You're on the phone a lot. You're either managing customer relationships, and maybe you're even doing cold calls, or maybe you're just answering client questions. Your job is to meet revenue and sales targets. So your job is very defined by a number. If you like to think black and white and want to have really clear rewards and standards for what you're doing, this might be a great role for you. If you like to present, a lot of times you're creating presentations and doing those presentations for external clients. And I just have two more. So this is one you might have thought of, like a medical writer. So if you are an English major, and you like individual work, but you also like science, you like making complex things simple, then you can go work for a medical device company, a healthcare company, a biotech company. They all have positions where people can be a medical writer, and they can either do external facing marketing materials or web digital materials, or even internal materials, and can take this really difficult, complex subject matter and make it really easy to digest. So lots of different companies you can work at. You can also work freelance or independent, and own your own business and set your own hours that way. And then my last one is a QA engineer. So did you know you could get paid to play video games and find bugs and problems? Well, I didn't really know that either until I worked kind of for a video game company, and we had people who did this. So it's not always quite as glamorous as that. But with being a QA engineer, you are identifying and eliminating problems in the product. So if you have a new app or a new website that gets launched, a QA engineer will test it. So it's not just manually playing the different video game levels and such, but it's also doing a little like coding, writing scripts, writing tests, designing tests to find those problems. A good QA, which stands for quality assurance, by the way, engineering department, a quality assurance analyst role, is so important for a strong company to function well. Okay, so just wrapping up, I have a little summary slide. So kind of two parts of our talk today. One is gaining clarity. What do you want to do? that's what you should be focusing on first before you move on to the next one. However, doing the next part can also help inform, and you can also learn. So doing informational interviews can also help think and spark different reactions, and think about maybe different interests and motivators you had. If you are eligible, you can apply for MLT Career Prep or any of those other programs I mentioned. That will give you a more structured way to go about your career clarity. So thank you all so much. It was really great to talk to you today, and feel free to email me or add me on LinkedIn. I love connecting with people, as I mentioned earlier. So, and I'm always just really flattered to be invited for a second time to this conference, and get to share my story and share my wisdom with you all. So thank you.
Sarah, thank you so much. Everybody, please give your love to Sarah and MLT. Apologies for my camera. Please give your love to them in the chat. Make sure that if you didn't already grab the links that you need to start applying to some of these programs you heard about, whether it's career prep program, you also heard about MBA prep, a lot of different opportunities with MLT. Make sure that you ask right now while the team is here with us, so they can put those links in the chat and get you connected. And also, we're going to keep dropping our resource toolkit that has their flyer as well that you can check out for more information. As someone who supported students to apply and attend programs like Career Prep and the MBA Prep program, I'm so stoked you got to hear about them, especially from Sarah, who did such a great job laying the groundwork for how you can start just activating small steps in creating that path for yourself, starting to build a plan, and creating and taking advantage of opportunities like the ones you're hearing about today. The Career Prep application is open now for students who will be college sophomores. There's more information from MLT in an upcoming webinar, I believe. So I think they'll add the link in the chat too for that upcoming event where you can ask more questions. Awesome. Thanks so much, Sarah.